Woman who suffered psychological abuse asks Justin Bieber for help. What he does will shock you. The room spins with camera flashes and excited whispers as Justin Bieber exits the stage after another sold-out performance. Behind the venues, steel barriers. One woman stands apart from the crowd of fans, Sarah Morgan, her trembling hands clutching a sealed envelope, dark circles under her eyes betraying years of sleepless nights. "He'll never read it," she whispers to herself, the weight of 7 years of psychological abuse making her shoulders hunch forward. Her husband's words echo in her mind. "You're nothing. No one would ever believe you." For years, Sarah surrendered, her songwriting dreams to placate her husband's jealousy and control. Now, with bruises invisible to the eye but etched deep into her soul, she's taking the first fragile step toward freedom. As Justin approaches the barricade for quick fan greetings, Sarah feels her courage faltering. Her husband Michael convinced her that her music was worthless, that her perceptions were wrong, that her suffering existed only in her imagination. What would a superstar like Justin Bieber care about her story? But then, an opening in the crowd, a security guard glances away, and somehow, miraculously, Justin is right there, accepting her envelope with a puzzled expression. "Please," Sarah whispers, her voice cracking. "I used to write music too." Before security ushers him away, Justin looks back at Sarah with unexpected recognition in his eyes. He tucks the envelope into his jacket instead of handing it to an assistant. What happens next will change both their lives forever. If you're wondering what could possibly connect this broken woman to one of music's biggest stars, and what shocking decision Justin Bieber makes after reading her letter, stay with us. This story of courage, compassion, and unexpected friendship is just beginning. The Nashville apartment Sarah and Michael share feels smaller each day. Afternoon sunlight filters through half-drawn blinds, casting prison bar shadows across the living room's beige carpet. Outside, the vibrant music city hums with creativity and opportunity, but inside these walls, Sarah Morgan moves like a ghost through her own life. The scent of coffee gone cold mingles with the lingering odor of Michael's expensive cologne, a suffocating reminder of his presence even when he's gone. Sarah sits at the keyboard tucked into the corner, fingers hovering over the keys without pressing down. 7 years since her last completed song. 7 years of Michael's subtle criticisms, that chord progression is so amateur, or lyrics like that are why you never made it. Followed by his magnanimous offers to help that always ended with her work transformed into something unrecognizable. Something his. Her phone buzzes with a notification. Sarah flinches, immediately checking to make sure it's not Michael. He doesn't explicitly forbid her having friends, but his questioning afterward, "What did you talk about? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Are you hiding something?" has gradually led her to stop reaching out altogether. The notification is just a news alert. Justin Bieber announces surprise charity event for abuse survivors. Sarah's finger hovers over the headline. Michael would mock her interest in teen pop, as he dismissively calls it, despite Bieber's evolution as an artist and advocate. Something compels her to tap the link. The event is tomorrow night, limited public access, proceeds supporting psychological abuse recovery programs. Sarah feels a jolt of recognition reading the symptoms listed in the article. Isolation from friends and family, manipulation of reality, erosion of self-worth. Her breathing quickens. This isn't normal. This is what's happening to her. Her wedding ring feels suddenly heavy on her finger. She twists it anxiously, remembering how different Michael had been during those early songwriting sessions, encouraging, seemingly supportive, until slowly, ever so slowly, he began rewriting her narrative, convincing her that opportunities fell through because of her inadequacies rather than his behind-the-scenes sabotage. Sarah opens her journal, hidden inside a cookbook Michael never touches, and begins drafting a letter. Words that have been imprisoned inside her for years flow onto the page. Her story, her songs, her slowly disappearing self. She hears a key in the lock. Michael is home early. In one fluid, practiced motion, Sarah slides the journal back into its hiding place and positions herself at the sink, as if she's been doing dishes all along. "Hey, babe," Michael calls, his voice warm and loving, nothing like it becomes when he's questioning her loyalty or sanity. "Brought dinner from that place you love." Sarah forces a smile, the half-written letter burning in her mind. "That's so thoughtful. Thank you." Michael crosses the room, wrapping his arms around her from behind in what would look to anyone else like a gesture of affection. Sarah feels the familiar tension in her shoulders, the practiced way she leans into him despite wanting to pull away. "What did you do today?" he asks casually, but she recognizes the real question beneath. "Did you step out of line? Did you remember your place?" "Nothing special," she answers, the lie smooth after years of practice. "Just housework. Thinking about song ideas, but nothing worth sharing yet." Michael kisses her cheek. "Don't push yourself. You know how you get when you put too much pressure on your creativity." Translation: "Remember how I've convinced you that your anxiety is your fault, not the result of my constant criticism." As they move to set the table together, Sarah makes a decision. Tomorrow, while Michael is at his recording session, she will finish the letter. She will go to the charity event, and for the first time in 7 years, she will reach out for help. If you're feeling the tension building in Sarah's chest right now, subscribe to follow her journey to freedom. The next chapter reveals the shocking contents of her letter to Justin. The Bridgestone Arena buzzes with anticipation under the glow of soft blue lighting. The charity event is smaller than Justin's usual concerts, more intimate, with round tables and candles creating an atmosphere of safety. Sarah stands in the shadows of the lobby, her letter sealed in a plain white envelope, her heart hammering against her ribs. She's told Michael she's meeting with an old college friend, the first direct lie she's told him in years, and one that will cost her dearly if discovered. Nashville's evening air is thick with humidity, clinging to her skin like the doubt that nearly kept her home. The muted sounds of acoustic guitars tuning filters through the doors as early attendees find their seats. Sarah touches the small songbird pendant at her throat, a gift from her grandmother before she passed, the last family connection Michael couldn't manipulate away from her. Getting inside with her general admission ticket was easy. Finding a path to Justin seems impossible. Security personnel create an impenetrable barrier between celebrities and regular attendees. Sarah clutches her envelope tighter, watching staff escort VIP guests through separate entrances. The letter contains everything: evidence of Michael's manipulation, recordings of her original songs he claimed as his own, and a desperate plea not for fame but for someone powerful enough to be believed. "Excuse me," a gentle voice breaks through her thoughts. An older woman with kind eyes and an event staff badge approaches. "Are you all right, honey? You look a little lost." Something in the woman's expression, maternal concern without judgment, breaks through Sarah's practiced composure. I need to get this to Justin Bieber," Sarah admits, voice barely audible over the growing crowd noise. "It's important. It's about why I'm here, why this charity matters." The woman studies Sarah's face, noticing the careful makeup covering dark circles, the way Sarah automatically steps back when people pass too closely. "I can't promise anything," the woman says, introducing herself as Diane. "But I've been working these events for 20 years. Meet me by the east exit after Justin's first song." The main event begins, Justin taking the stage to thunderous applause. He speaks eloquently about psychological abuse, its invisible scars, the importance of believing victims. Sarah listens, tears streaming silently down her face as he introduces a new song written specifically for survivors. As promised, Diane appears at Sarah's side after the first performance. 5 minutes, she whispers, guiding Sarah through a service corridor. "He's doing a quick water break. You'll have seconds at most." Sarah's pulse roars in her ears as they approach a small green room area. Security looks questioningly at Diane, who waves her staff credentials. "Charity representative," she explains smoothly, gesturing to Sarah. "Quick word approved by management." Before Sarah can process the kind deception, she's ushered into a small room where Justin Bieber is checking his phone between sets. He looks up, surprised at the unscheduled interruption. "Mr. Bieber," Sarah begins, her rehearsed speech evaporating under his curious gaze. Instead, she extends the envelope with shaking hands. "I'm a songwriter. My husband has been erasing me for 7 years. There are recordings inside, songs he stole, conversations he doesn't know I kept. I don't want fame, I just need someone powerful enough to make the truth matter." Justin's expression shifts from confusion to concern. Security appears at the door, signaling time's up. "Wait," Justin says, examining Sarah's face more carefully. "Your name?" "Sarah Morgan," she whispers, as security gently but firmly escorts her back toward the main hall. Justin tucks the envelope into his jacket instead of handing it to an assistant. Their eyes meet one final time before the door closes between them. Back in her seat, Sarah feels simultaneously lighter and terrified. She's done it, broken her silence. But what happens when she returns home to Michael with his uncanny ability to sense when she's stepped out of his control? Her phone buzzes in her purse. Multiple messages from Michael. He's come home early from his session. The battle for Sarah's freedom has just begun. Subscribe now to discover how Justin responds to the shocking evidence in Chapter 3. The recording. Studio's isolation booth feels like a sanctuary to Justin Bieber. It's 2 a.m., 3 days after the charity event, and he can't stop thinking about the woman with haunted eyes. Sarah Morgan. Ambient light from mixing boards casts the room in a technological blue glow. Outside the soundproofed walls, Los Angeles sleeps, but inside, Justin hunches over a laptop with his longtime producer, Greg. "Play it again," Justin instructs, rubbing exhausted eyes. The voice that fills the studio is raw, untrained, but authentic. Sarah's voice from a voice memo recording included in her package. The song is incomplete, but undeniably powerful. "Now play the polished version," Justin says, mouth set in a grim line. Greg clicks to another file, the same song foundation, but with Sarah's voice eliminated, replaced by a male vocalist, Michael Morgan's voice on his breakthrough single from 6 years ago. "The copyright registration dates?" Justin asks, though he's already memorized the answer. "All filed under his name alone," Greg confirms, scrolling through documentation. Sarah provided, but her original recordings predate them by years. The air conditioning hums steadily as Justin paces the small room. His security team had initially advised against getting involved in what could be a complicated domestic situation. His management worried about potential backlash. But something about Sarah's story resonated with his own experiences of having his authenticity questioned, his artistry dismissed. "She's not asking for money or exposure," Justin reminds Greg. "She just wants her work acknowledged and to get away from him safely." Justin's phone lights up with a text from his head of security. "Background check complete. Morgan has history of professional complaints from female collaborators, all quietly settled." Justin's jaw tightens. A pattern then, not just Sarah. Meanwhile, across Nashville, Sarah sits frozen on her sofa, Michael's rage filling their apartment like a noxious gas. The charity event program lies on the coffee table between them, evidence of her deception. "Networking?" Michael laughs coldly, his handsome face twisted with disbelief. "That's what you're calling this? Sneaking around behind my back to what? Pass. Your amateur demos to Bieber. Do you know how pathetic that sounds?" Sarah stares at her clasped hands. For years she's weathered these storms by agreeing, apologizing, accepting blame. Today something feels different. The simple act of being believed by Diane, of being listened to for those few seconds by Justin, it's like a tiny flame kindled in the darkest corner of her mind. "I didn't share any music," she says quietly, which is technically true. She shared evidence of theft, not new work. Michael steps closer, his designer cologne suffocating. "Let me see your phone." "No." The word surprises them both. In Los Angeles, Justin makes a decision. "Call Melissa," he tells Greg, referring to the high-powered entertainment attorney who's helped him navigate his own career challenges. "And book me a flight to Nashville, private, no publicity." Greg raises an eyebrow. You're serious about this? Justin plays Sarah's voice memo one more time, the unfinished song filling the space between them. This woman has been erased, and she's not the only one. The next morning in Nashville, Sarah wakes on the sofa where she spent the night after. Michael stormed out. She checks her phone, expecting his usual post-fight messages cycling between anger and apology. Instead, she finds an email from an unfamiliar address with a Nashville law firm signature. The subject line reads, "Justin, Bieber received your letter. Meeting tomorrow, 10 a.m. Car will pick you up. Bring any additional evidence." Sarah reads the message 5 times, disbelief and fragile hope battling within her chest. She looks around the apartment, the space that has become both prison and fortress, and begins to imagine a life beyond its walls. Can Sarah trust this unexpected outreach, or is it another trap? Subscribe now to discover the shocking meeting in Chapter 4. The law office of Hamilton, Becker and Patel occupies the 15th floor of a sleek, downtown Nashville building. Floor-to-ceiling windows offer panoramic views of the Cumberland River, a deceptive sense of openness for the closed-door meeting taking place inside Conference Room C. Morning sunlight glints off the polished mahogany table where Sarah sits, rigidly, hands folded in her lap to hide their trembling. Across from her, Justin Bieber looks different than his stage persona, more serious, dressed in a simple black sweater, listening intently as entertainment attorney Melissa Becker outlines options. The smell of premium coffee mingles with the subtle scent of leather furniture, and paper documents spread across the table. Copyright filings, text message records, studio session logs. Psychological abuse is notoriously difficult to prove in court, Melissa explains, her voice steady and matter-of-fact, gold bracelets clinking softly as she gestures to the evidence. But copyright theft, that's concrete. The recordings you preserved create a clear timeline that contradicts your husband's registrations. Sarah's mind keeps replaying the morning's escape, waiting until Michael left for a session, throwing essential documents and a change of clothes into a bag, slipping into the black SUV that arrived precisely at 9:30. Every car that passed on the drive downtown made her flinch, certain it was Michael discovering her final betrayal. "There are others," Justin says quietly, sliding a folder towards Sarah. "After reviewing your evidence, we had our team discreetly reach out to women who've worked with Michael. 3 more songwriters have come forward with similar experiences." Sarah opens the folder with shaking hands. Names she recognizes, women who'd supposedly left the industry or couldn't handle the pressure. Women whose contributions vanished, while Michael's star rose. "You're not alone," Justin continues, leaning forward with unexpected intensity. "And you're not crazy. What he did, gaslighting you, isolating you, stealing your work, it's real. I've seen similar patterns in this industry too many times." A knock at the door interrupts them. Justin's security chief enters, expression grave. "Morgan's here, downstairs lobby, making a scene." The room temperature seems to plummet. Sarah's breathing becomes shallow, her vision tunneling. Somehow Michael found her. Of course he found her. He's convinced her for years that she can never truly escape him. He can't come up without clearance, the security chief assures them, but he's demanding to see his wife. "I should go," Sarah whispers automatically, already gathering her purse. "If I just explain—" "Sarah." Justin's voice cuts through her panic. "You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to explain anything. That's what he's conditioned you to believe." Something in his tone, compassion without pity, anchors her to the present moment. Melissa leans forward. "We have 2 options. Security escorts him out, or—" She pauses, studying Sarah carefully. "We bring him up, on our terms, with security present, and you show him you're not hiding anymore." The thought sends ice through Sarah's veins. Face Michael with witnesses present, show him she's taking back her power. The very idea seems impossible after years of careful submission. Justin watches the conflict play across her face. "Whatever you decide," he says quietly, "you're not doing it alone, not anymore." Sarah looks around the room, at Justin, who has put his own reputation on the line to help a stranger, at Melissa, whose professional demeanor can't completely mask her determination, at the security team ready to protect her. For the first time in 7 years, she's surrounded by people who see her clearly. She takes a deep breath. Bring him up. 20 floors below, Michael paces the lobby, unleashing charm then intimidation on the building's security staff, unaware that everything is about to change. If you're moved by Sarah's courage, subscribe now to witness the confrontation that will leave Michael speechless in Chapter 5. Conference Room C has transformed from a space of business strategy to an arena of raw emotion. The air crackles with tension as Michael Morgan strides in, designer suit impeccable as always, his handsome face a perfect mask of concerned husband. He stops short at the sight of Justin Bieber sitting beside his wife. "Sarah, what is this?" Michael asks, voice calibrated to just the right frequency of confusion and care. "I've been worried sick." The scent of his familiar cologne reaches Sarah, triggering her usual instinct to pacify. Nashville's midday sun creates a dramatic backdrop. Through the windows, traffic moving 15 stories below like silent toys. A clock ticks audibly in the suddenly silent room. "Please sit down, Mr. Morgan," Melissa directs, gesturing to a chair positioned deliberately far from Sarah. Security personnel stand discreetly by the door. Michael's eyes narrow, assessing the situation with the calculations Sarah has come to recognize precedes his most manipulative moments. "I don't understand why my wife needs attorneys to talk to me," he says with a practiced laugh. "Sarah, honey, whatever misunderstanding happened, we can work through this together, privately." Sarah feels her throat constrict, years of conditioned responses threatening to override her resolve. Justin notices her hands trembling beneath the table and subtly slides a small digital recorder toward her. Their eyes meet briefly, and in his gaze she finds not pity but solidarity. "Michael," Sarah begins, her voice smaller than she intended. She clears her throat and starts again. "Michael, I know what you've done. What I've done." The confusion in his voice sounds so genuine that for a split second Sarah doubts herself, precisely as he intends. She presses play on the recorder. Michael's voice fills the room. "No one will believe your version anyway. Do you really think anyone would buy that those songs were written by you? I've established my reputation. You're just my unstable wife." The recording continues, revealing a pattern of gaslighting, of Michael systematically dismantling Sarah's confidence while appropriating her creative work. His face transforms as he realizes what she's preserved, evidence of conversations he never expected her to document. "Recordings taken without consent are inadmissible," he begins, lawyer mask sliding into place. "In criminal court, perhaps," Melissa interjects smoothly. "But this isn't criminal court yet. This is a meeting about copyright infringement, about your systematic theft of intellectual property." Justin slides forward a document. "These women have all come forward with similar experiences," he explains, voice calm but eyes hard. "Each with evidence of work you claimed as your own." For the first time, Michael's composure truly cracks. "You have no idea who you're dealing with," he hisses, mask of concern evaporating entirely. "Sarah knows nothing about this industry. She needs me. Tell them, Sarah." All eyes turn to Sarah. This is the moment Michael has prepared for, trained her for, conditioning her to crumble under pressure, to seek his approval, to believe her perceptions are flawed. Sarah meets his gaze directly for the first time in years. "You took my songs," she says, voice growing stronger with each word. "You took my confidence. You took my connections. But you don't get to take my future." She places her wedding ring on the table between them. "We have enough evidence for legal action on multiple fronts," Melissa explains clinically. "Copyright infringement for starters, public exposure of your methods at minimum. Unless," Justin adds, "you'd prefer a different approach." Michael looks from face to face, the full gravity of his situation becoming clear. His carefully constructed reality is collapsing, and for once, he isn't controlling the narrative. "What do you want?" he finally asks, directing the question not to the attorneys, not to Justin Bieber, but to Sarah, the woman he spent years convincing that her wants don't matter. Sarah sits straighter, the weight on her shoulders visibly lifting. "I want my life back," she answers simply. and I want to make sure you never do this to another songwriter again. Sarah has found her voice, but Michael won't surrender easily. Subscribe now to witness his desperate counterattack in Chapter 6. Michael leans back in his chair, the initial shock giving way to calculation. Yellow legal pads and water glasses sit untouched on the conference table as afternoon shadows lengthen across downtown Nashville. Through the glass walls of nearby offices, curious employees pretend not to watch the unfolding drama involving one of music's rising producer-songwriters and the unexpected presence of Justin Bieber. "Let's be reasonable," Michael says, his voice regaining its smooth, persuasive quality, the tone that had once convinced record executives and Sarah herself that he was the true talent in their partnership. His fingers drum rhythmically against the table, a habit Sarah recognizes as controlled agitation. This could damage everyone in this room. The industry doesn't like messy public disputes. Melissa slides a document across the polished mahogany. "Our proposed settlement terms, non-negotiable." The air conditioning hums softly as Michael scans the pages, his composed expression slipping momentarily. Outside, Nashville continues its business. Tourists wandering Broadway, musicians hustling between gigs, songwriters searching for their big break, all unaware of the power shift occurring 15 floors above them. "This is absurd," Michael finally says, pushing the document away. "Reversion of copyright on all collaboration works, public credit correction, financial compensation for emotional damages? I'd be admitting guilt." "You are guilty," Justin states simply. The pop star sits with unexpected stillness, his usual energetic presence channeled into focused intensity. The evidence is overwhelming. Sarah watches Michael's face, reading the micro-expressions she's become attuned to through years of vigilance, the slight tightening around his eyes that signals he's formulating a new angle, the barely perceptible softening of his jaw when he thinks he's found a weakness to exploit. "Sarah," Michael pivots, voice dropping to the intimate tone she once found comforting before recognizing it as a tool of manipulation. "We created something special together. Whatever misunderstandings happened." "Not misunderstandings," Sarah interrupts, surprising herself with her firmness. "Deliberate theft and psychological abuse." Michael's expression hardens. "You want to claim credit now? After I shepherded these songs through the industry, who do you think transformed your amateur lyrics into hits? I improved everything you brought me." For a moment, the old doubt creeps back. The insidious voice Michael planted in her mind, questioning her talent, her perception, her worth. Then Justin slides his phone across the table. On the screen plays a video of him in the studio the previous night, singing one of Sarah's original demos, the raw, unpolished version Michael claims he improved, accompanied only by acoustic guitar. Even unmixed, the song's power is undeniable. "Seems pretty perfect in its original form to me," Justin observes quietly. "Almost like it didn't need improving at all, just stealing." Michael's facade cracks further. "You don't understand the complexity." "We understand perfectly," Melissa interjects, "and so will the industry when we release the evidence these women have compiled. Your choice is simple. Sign our agreement and salvage some dignity, or fight us publicly and lose everything." Michael turns to Sarah, disbelief evident in his expression. For years he's controlled her through a careful balance of criticism and validation. The woman sitting across from him now, refusing to flinch under his gaze, is someone he doesn't recognize. "You'd throw away 7 years?" he asks, genuine incomprehension in his voice. "For what? To be another struggling songwriter with a vindictive streak?" Sarah feels a strange calm settle over her. "I'm already a songwriter. I've always been one. The only difference is now everyone else will know it too. Michael stares at the document, the full weight of his situation becoming clear. His reputation, career, and carefully constructed image hang in the balance. "I need to consult my attorney," he finally says. "Of course," Melissa agrees smoothly. "So you have 48 hours. After that, we proceed with Plan B." As Michael rises to leave, he looks at Justin with barely concealed contempt. Didn't expect a pop star to involve himself in industry politics. Justin meets his gaze evenly. "This isn't about politics, it's about right and wrong. Michael may be cornered, but a predator is most dangerous when trapped. Subscribe now to witness his desperate counterattack in Chapter 7. Dawn breaks over Nashville, painting the city in watercolor hues of pink and gold. Sarah sits on the balcony of a hotel suite Justin's team arranged for her safety, watching the city come alive. The Mississippi River catches early morning light, flowing steadily onward, like the days since her confrontation with Michael. Steam rises from her coffee mug, carrying the rich aroma of temporary freedom. Inside the suite, her phone buzzes for the 19th time since midnight. More veiled threats from Michael's camp, thinly disguised as concerns about her mental health. Sarah no longer flinches at each notification. Instead, she forwards them to Melissa's legal team, more evidence of his desperation and tactics. A knock at the door announces Justin's arrival earlier than expected. When she opens it, his expression is grim. "They're going nuclear," he says without preamble, stepping into the suite. The room still bears the anonymous elegance of hotel furnishings, but Sarah has made it temporarily hers, with scattered notebooks, a borrowed guitar in the corner, recording equipment Justin loaned her to resume capturing her songs. Michael's team is leaking a narrative to industry blogs. They're painting you as unstable, opportunistic, riding my fame for attention. Sarah feels a familiar tightness in her chest, the sensation that preceded panic attacks during her worst days with Michael. Justin notices her reaction and immediately softens his approach. "But we anticipated this," he reminds her gently. "Remember what Melissa said. His predictable patterns are his greatest weakness." Sarah completes the thought, breathing deeply. The morning sun streams through gauzy hotel curtains, dust motes dancing in golden light. Outside, a siren wails briefly before fading into the urban background noise. Justin's security chief enters with a tablet, displaying an industry gossip site where the story is already developing. Comments from anonymous sources close to Michael Morgan describe Sarah's history of emotional problems and jealousy over her husband's success. Most painful are quotes from people Sarah once considered friends, fellow musicians and industry contacts who've apparently chosen sides. The scent of betrayal is bitter, cutting through the coffee's warmth. "I expected this," Sarah says, though the reality still stings. "Michael spent years isolating me, positioning himself as the stable, rational one. Of course they believe him." Justin studies her face. "Are you sure you want to continue? We could settle quietly, get your copyrights back without the public battle." The question hangs in the air between them. Sarah moves to the window, watching Nashville's songwriters and dreamers heading to coffee shops and co-writing sessions below, unaware of the war being waged in their industry's upper echelons. "There's something I haven't told you," she says, finally turning back to face Justin. "Something I didn't include in my letter or recordings." From her journal, she removes a USB drive smaller than her thumbnail. "Before Michael, I collaborated with other women, songwriters who later claimed they were leaving the industry for personal reasons. I kept demos of our work together, emails about our creative process." Justin's eyes widen as understanding dawns. "You think I know," Sarah interrupts. "After seeing those other women come forward, I connected the dots. Michael didn't just steal from me. He's been doing this for a decade, targeting female collaborators, isolating them, taking their work. Some fought back, some disappeared professionally. None were believed." She hands Justin the drive. "This isn't just about my songs anymore. It's about breaking a pattern that silenced too many voices." As Justin processes this revelation, Sarah's phone rings. Not Michael, but a female name she hasn't seen in years. Jessica Chen, another songwriter who vanished from Nashville 3 years earlier. "Word's getting around," Sarah explains, showing Justin the screen. "The women Michael erased are finding each other, finding courage in numbers." Justin pockets the USB drive carefully. "So what do you want to do now?" Sarah's answer is immediate, her voice stronger than it's been in years. "Everything. The legal battle, the public story, the truth, all of it." For the first time since her life imploded, Sarah feels the creative energy that once defined her flowing back, stronger and clearer than before. The battle lines are drawn, but Michael has one more devastating card to play. Subscribe now. For the shocking revelation in Chapter 8, Studio A at Nashville's legendary sound emporium buzzes with focused energy. Recording equipment hums beneath the vaulted ceilings where countless hit records have been captured. Late afternoon sun filters through sound-dampening curtains, casting the space in an amber glow. The scent of coffee and takeout containers mingles with the woody aroma of vintage instruments. Sarah sits at the grand piano, surrounded by Justin's trusted session musicians. For the past 3 days, they've been re-recording her original compositions, creating irrefutable evidence of her authorship before the case goes public. The weight of Michael's latest legal threat still hangs in the air, but here, immersed in the creative process, Sarah finds moments of peace. That bridge transition still isn't sitting right, she muses, fingers hovering over the keys. Her voice is stronger now, more assured when offering direction. 3 weeks away from Michael's influence has begun the slow restoration of her confidence. Justin, sitting cross-legged on the floor nearby with headphones half on, nods in agreement. Try sustaining the minor chord an extra measure before the key change? The collaborative environment feels healing after years of having her musical instincts undermined. Each supportive comment from Justin and the session players helps rebuild what Michael methodically destroyed. Their work is interrupted when Melissa enters, her typically composed demeanor visibly strained. The leather soles of her designer shoes click purposefully across the hardwood floor. "We need to talk," she says, gesturing toward the isolation booth for privacy. Now, inside the soundproofed space, Melissa delivers the blow. Michael's team has filed a countersuit. They're claiming Justin coerced you into making false accusations, promising career advancement in exchange for discrediting Michael. The recycled air in the booth suddenly feels insufficient. Sarah steadies herself against the wall, the textured acoustic foam grounding her as the implications sink in. "They've taken every interaction between you two and twisted it," Melissa continues, scrolling through legal documents on her tablet. "The charity event, the private meetings, the studio sessions, they're painting it as a calculated campaign orchestrated by Justin to poach Michael's talent and boost his own reputation as an advocate." Justin's expression darkens. "That's absurd." "It's calculated," Melissa corrects. "They're trying to make this about Justin Bieber versus Michael Morgan, celebrity versus industry insider, rather than about Sarah's stolen work." Outside the booth, the musicians wait uncertainly, instruments temporarily silent. Through the glass, Sarah can see concern on their faces. Word of the countersuit will spread through Nashville's tight-knit music community within hours. "There's Samos," Melissa says hesitantly. "They've submitted evidence that they claim proves Sarah's instability. Photos taken out of context, selectively edited recordings of arguments." The familiar feeling of the ground shifting beneath her feet returns. Michael's specialty, reframing reality until Sarah doubted her own perceptions. For a moment, old patterns of thought resurface. Maybe I am overreacting. Maybe my memories are wrong. Justin watches the doubt flicker across her face. "This is exactly what he wants," he says quietly, creating enough confusion that people default to believing him. Sarah closes her eyes, remembering the exercises her new therapist taught her for combating gaslighting. "Name what you know to be true. Anchor in concrete evidence." "I wrote those songs," she states firmly. "I have the original recordings. Other women experienced the same thing with him. These are facts, not interpretations." Outside, Nashville continues its business, unaware of the battle being waged in this small, soundproofed room. Tourist buses roll down Music Row. Aspiring songwriters clutch coffee cups and dreams. Industry power brokers make and break careers over expensive lunches. Melissa watches Sarah carefully. "We can still proceed, but you need to understand. This gets uglier from here. Michael will use everything he knows about you, every vulnerability, every insecurity. And now he's dragging Justin's reputation into it too." The unspoken question hangs in the air. Is it worth it? Sarah meets Justin's gaze through the glass partition, separating them from the musicians waiting outside. Artists who've chosen to believe her, to help amplify her truth. Schedule the press conference, she decides. It's time everyone heard the full story. Michael's desperate tactics have forced Sarah's hand. Subscribe now to witness her powerful public stand in Chapter 9. The Bluebird Cafe, Nashville's intimate songwriter's haven, has never hosted a press conference quite like this. Normally reserved for acoustic performances and industry showcases, today, the historic venue's small stage is crowded with microphones from every major music publication and news outlet. Outside, autumn leaves scatter across the parking lot, where photographers jostle for position. Sarah sits at the edge of the stage, the scuffed wooden floor beneath her feet bearing 30 years of Nashville music history. Her simple black dress and minimal makeup are deliberate choices, a rejection of the polished image Michael carefully cultivated for their joint appearances. The venue smells of coffee and aged wood, the familiar aroma providing small comfort. Amid the camera flashes and murmured speculation, Justin sits nearby, purposefully positioned not as the star of this gathering, but as supporting cast. The strategy is clear. This is Sarah's story to tell. At precisely noon, Melissa steps forward. Thank you for coming. Today, Sarah Morgan will address the controversy surrounding her musical contributions and relationship with producer Michael Morgan. She'll be joined by several other songwriters with similar experiences. The room quiets as Sarah approaches. The microphone. The weight of years of silence makes her first words almost physically difficult to push out. My name is Sarah Morgan, she begins, voice initially soft but gathering strength. For 7 years I lived and worked with a man who systematically dismantled my confidence, isolated me from others, and claimed my creative work as his own. Today, I'm reclaiming both my voice and my songs. She signals to a sound technician, who plays a split recording, Sarah's original demo of what would become Michael's breakthrough hit, alongside his published version. Even to untrained ears, the theft is unmistakable. This wasn't collaboration, Sarah continues. This was appropriation, and I wasn't his only victim. One by one, 4 women join Sarah on stage. Jessica Chen, whose electronic dance compositions mysteriously appeared in Michael's productions after she left music to focus on family. Aisha Washington, whose distinctive lyrical phrases became Michael's trademark after their professional relationship ended amicably. Taylor Merritt and Lucia Gonzalez, both rising songwriters whose careers stalled after working with him. Each woman shares her story briefly, creating a damning pattern too consistent to dismiss. The assembled journalists, initially skeptical of what many assumed was celebrity drama, grow increasingly somber as the evidence mounts. When Michael's legal statement is read, claiming these women are coordinating false accusations for publicity, promising countersuits, the room's atmosphere has already shifted decisively against him. We aren't seeking vengeance, Sarah clarifies, the afternoon light through the venue's windows illuminating her face. We're seeking restoration, recognition of our work, and protection for other artists who might be vulnerable to similar abuse. A reporter raises the inevitable question, what about the allegations that Justin Bieber orchestrated this for publicity or to damage Mr. Morgan's reputation? Justin steps forward briefly. I became involved because I recognized an injustice happening in our industry. Music belongs to its creators. Full stop. This isn't about me, it's about these women reclaiming their artistic legacy. The press conference concludes with an unexpected moment. Sarah returns to the microphone and, for the first time in years, performs one of her stolen songs live. Her voice, untrained but authentic, fills the historic space where countless Nashville careers have been launched. Outside, as the media disperses, Sarah finds herself facing a small group of young songwriters, mostly women, who waited through the entire event. We believe you, one says simply, offering a handwritten note. Thank you for making it safer for the rest of us. That evening, social media explodes with the hashtag #IHearSarah as musicians, producers, and fans rally around her cause. Industry. Heavyweights who initially remained neutral begin issuing statements supporting greater protections for songwriters, particularly women. In her hotel room, Sarah watches in amazement as the story trends nationally. Her phone buzzes with a text from Justin. This is just the beginning, ready for tomorrow. For the first time in years, she feels genuinely ready for whatever comes next. The tide has turned against Michael, but his final, desperate act will shock everyone. Subscribe for the emotional conclusion in Chapter 10. 1 year later, the Grammy Awards press room buzzes with activity. Camera flashes illuminate Sarah's face as she holds the Golden Gramophone for Songwriter of the Year, recognition not just for her new work, but for the industry reckoning her courage helped spark. The room smells of expensive perfume and electrical equipment, excitement and accomplishment tangible in the air. "Sarah, how does this moment feel after everything that happened?" a reporter calls out. Sarah runs her fingers along the trophies. Smooth surface, the weight of it in her hands still surreal. She's dressed in a midnight blue gown that sparkles under the lights, no longer hiding in neutral colors designed to keep her unnoticed. "It feels like restoration," she answers thoughtfully. "Not just for me, but for all of us who fought to reclaim our work and our voices." The past year unfolded in ways no one could have predicted. After the press conference, Michael's carefully constructed reputation unraveled rapidly. Additional collaborators came forward with similar stories, backed by evidence. Major artists announced they would no longer work with him. His label conducted an internal investigation and subsequently dropped him. The legal battle ended not with a dramatic courtroom showdown, but with a comprehensive settlement, full copyright reversion to the original songwriters, financial compensation, and a public admission of wrongdoing from Michael. His carefully crafted empire collapsed within months. Most surprisingly, Michael himself eventually reached out, not with threats, but with an uncharacteristic request to meet. In a monitored conversation at his attorney's office, he offered what appeared to be genuine remorse, agreeing to enter therapy for narcissistic behavior patterns. Whether motivated by true insight or merely the destruction of his career remained uncertain, but his surrender was complete. As Sarah finishes her press obligations, she finds Justin waiting backstage, away from the cameras. Their professional relationship evolved into a genuine friendship throughout the ordeal, his celebrity outshined by his basic human decency. "Congratulations, Songwriter of the Year," he says, offering a warm hug. "Your grandmother would be proud." Sarah touches the small songbird pendant at her throat, her grandmother's gift that she never removed, even during her darkest days with Michael. "I think she somehow knew I'd need a reminder to keep singing, no matter what." Together they walk toward the after-party, passing a wall of industry photographs. Among them hangs a new exhibition. The Reclamation Project showcases all 5 women from the original press conference, now all actively working in music again. Their stories have sparked industry-wide conversations about creative credit, power dynamics, and psychological abuse in professional relationships. "Did you see the announcement?" Justin asks as they navigate the crowded hallway. The record label is establishing that songwriter protection initiative we discussed. Independent verification of writing credits, mandatory documentation of writing sessions, resources for reporting coercion or theft. Sarah smiles, knowing these concrete changes might prevent others from experiencing what she endured. So, some actual good came from all this. A lot of good, Justin corrects. Your music, for starters. The world finally getting to hear it as you created it. At the after-party, Sarah finds herself surrounded by industry figures who once avoided eye contact during her battle. Now they eagerly discuss collaborations, praise her Grammy-winning songs, treat her as the formidable talent she always was. Late in the evening, she steps onto the venue's balcony for a moment of quiet reflection. The Los Angeles skyline glitters beneath a clear night sky. From her purse, Sarah removes a small, worn journal, the same one where she first drafted her letter to Justin 2 years earlier. Opening to a blank page, she begins writing a new song, not about pain or betrayal, but about rebuilding, about the community of women who lifted each other up, about finding her voice again. The words flow effortlessly, no longer trapped behind barriers of doubt and fear. Inside, the party continues. Her name is called more congratulations, more opportunities, more recognition of her authentic talent. Sarah closes the journal, tucking it safely away before rejoining the celebration. This time she enters the room not as someone's shadow, but as herself. Songwriter, advocate, survivor, whole. Thank you for following Sarah's journey. If her story moved you, please subscribe and share to help others find their voice too.